Paul George speaks. The Sixers go and get Reggie Jackson. Gilbert Arenas. Why, bro? Just why?
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Hi, I'm Keith Pompey, and this is my right-hand man, John Mitchell. We are the co-hosts of Locked On 76ers. What's up, bro?
What's up, Keith? How you doing, man?
I'm good.
Oh, no. You guys be doing excellent today, man.
Oh, I'm excellent. I'm great.
Don't hit me with the good and you come.
I'm great. You know, I'm on this vacation. Yeah. You know, it's weird, man. Since you're on vacation, it's one of them things where you're like, man, I ain't got to go to bed early. So I'm staying up late, and then I go upstairs. I'm like, oh, man, I'm missing out on something. Like, I got the fear of missing out. So I come back downstairs, and now it's in the morning, and I'm like, I'm tired.
Yeah.
But you know, the one thing is, though, here's the deal. Paul George had his presser. Mm-hmm. We're going to talk about some things that stood out to us, things that he said. He really didn't say too much of anything, right? You know what I mean? It was like the typical stuff. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, I want to talk about the second segment. I want to talk about what Gilbert Arenas said.
Man, Joel chimed in on it too.
Yeah, he chimed in. I wish Joel would have. See, when Joel was asked about it, he really didn't have a gist of what he said. He knew he said something bad, but he didn't know what he said. So he was commenting on it, you know, this and that. But I wish someone would have spoke to him now to see, you know, I mean, get his real reaction to it, because that was ignorant. It was stupid. I mean, I don't know. It was racist. It was everything. I didn't like it.
You know what, though, Keith? We're hearing the same thing from Republican lawmakers right now about Kamala Harris. But we can talk about that a little bit.
But he wanted. But yeah. But
you know what I mean.
But here's the deal, though. Here's the thing. And then the third segment, I want to talk about you know, Reggie Jackson. I mean, we talked about that they were. What does it all mean now? But Mitch, what stood out to you in that press conference yesterday with Paul George?
Not a whole lot. I mean, it was a typical. I think the thing that I wanted to hear most about was when he said, I mean, you know, one of the quotes he says, "I'm all in," and I'm like, well, they gave you $200 million, so you should be all in. My family is here. We're all in. We felt that this was the best and next step in the phase of my career. I thought everything just aligned perfectly where they are at and where they're trying to go and where I'm trying to go as well. I think we've got a real legitimate shot. I think they do too. I think they have a real legitimate shot. I mean, I know, we've been praising Boston as, you know, as some almost as if they're the Golden State Warriors reincarnated in the Eastern Conference. I think they're the best team, but I damn sure don't think that they can't be beaten. And you know, when you have a guy like when you add a guy like Paul George to the mix, you go out and you get the Drummond. You address your backup center situation with a guy who's probably the best backup center in the league, and in some places would be a starter. With Tyrese Maxey ascending, again, you know, I'm going to beat that drum. You know, no more talking about getting past the second round. That should be a done deal. And I think that, you know, but as far as what George said, you know, in those situations, you know, Keith, how many times have we covered him? What is he supposed to say? I have my family sitting over here. They're a lovely family, and he does have a lovely family. But beyond that, I don't know what people really expect a guy to say in that situation. You're a 13-year veteran, and you're in the wind down period. Granted, you're playing at an all-star level, but you are in the wind down period of your career. So, again, he didn't say anything earth-shaking, but I do believe that he's committed to the 76ers. I think he's committed to and wants to win.
Yeah. The thing is, today, when you have a press conference, what's the day? The 23rd. He signed a couple weeks ago. And then you have your own podcast and stuff
Yeah.
like that. It comes to a point where this is an introductory press conference, but it loses the luster that it would have had if it was years ago.
Right.
You know what I mean? So everything that he said, you basically heard it before, kind of like you said.
Right.
The things that stood out now, the thing that really came out yesterday, that I saw that he said that really wasn't on his podcast. I mean, it was on his podcast, but wasn't at the press conference, was when he dissed the Clippers, when he called them a B team, right? And how everybody said he should, you should be playing for the Lakers, To me, that was the most newsworthy thing, just because, and it's not the first time a player said that, but basically he was saying that he was being a second-class citizen, being for the Clippers. Now, another thing that stood out to me was when he talked about his relationship with Joel, that they formed a friendship at the All-Star games. And I give Kyle Neubeck credit because I was sitting there waiting. Now, again, I wasn't there, right? But I'm sitting there and I'm waiting like for somebody to do a follow-up like, yo, you just giving it. This is something new. Everything else is like what you thought. And Kyle Neubeck added, and he expanded on it. So it was cool. But yeah, for the most part, let's keep it 100. He could come out here. He could say what he want. He could do what he want. But the bottom line is he's making $212 million, and they expect him to get at least out of the second round.
Right.
That's what it is. So we've had press conferences before since I've been on this beat. I remember when, Joel Embiid was drafted, right? People are like, because of the injury history. I remember when Ben Simmons was drafted, Markelle Fultz. It was like celebration city, right?
Yeah.
It goes even when you were on the beat, when they traded for Andrew Bynum, right? It was all that. So then you go and you go and you go and we just bringing up, just talking about names, Jimmy Butler, all these different people, Tobias Harris, all of them. I think that right now, the Philadelphia people are tired of that.
Yeah.
It's great. They want to start seeing results.
Yeah.
And the one thing that they did say, that there were a lot of teams that went after him, but Paul did say this now. He said, in regards to free agency, this was the best, but number one option. Well, it was the number one option, partly because they're going to tell you whatever you want. But if we're going to be real, this is the only team that wanted to give him a fourth year.
Yeah.
The only team. So the only team that had the money to do it, the only team, well, there was teams who had money, but of the teams who had the money to do it, they were the only ones willing to do it. So that's why Paul George is there. Now, again, everything could work out great because remember, he wanted to go to Golden State. Everything could work out well. They could bring it together. They could have success. They could do all this and that and make it seem like everything was on point, 100. But at the end of the day, it's all about results. We've been through these press conferences before.
Right.
You know what I mean? We've been through the dog and pony show. Now it's all about getting out of the second round and going in the playoffs.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, and it's not. I just don't think that it's a whole lot to ask out of this roster. I don't. I mean, the Atlantic division is going to be a dogfight. It's going to be a fun division to watch. And I do think that they're at the worst the second best team if they stay healthy, and if Joel Embiid is a legitimate 280 pounds when he steps on the scale at some point. They probably don't even ask him to step on the scale anymore.
Nah. Yeah, they may.
um, yeah, and that's a good segue. Right now, I want to talk to you about Game Time. Are you trying to get tickets to Citizen Bank Park and get out to see the Phillies? You should, because hey, we have a team that's in the championship race. Well, listen, Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, and it makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to the first pitch. With killer last minute deals, all in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying Major League Baseball tickets. It's the best for last minute tickets, flash deals, zone deals, easy to find and buy MLB tickets, and for every kind of event in your area. That's right, it's not just for sports. You can also get this for concerts. So you need to check out Game Time, and you can do that by downloading the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. So listen, are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Sometimes you have to turn the volume down with all the screaming, shouting, hooping, and hollering. Well, listen, make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every single solitary day.
Do it today, people. Definitely do it today. So, here's the thing. So, Gilbert Arenas, when the Americans almost lost to South Sudan, first of all, it was a lot of disrespect before the game where a lot of people was talking about how trash the team was. And then, like, I'm looking at the game and I'm like, oh, I know, boy, like Mario Sayak played for the Sixers.
Mm-hmm.
Great player. Oh, the other dude, oh, Thor, I know who he is, this and that. And like, you look at some of these brothers from the Sudan, and there's some of them in the NBA, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A lot. So you look at them, and matter of fact, when I was at Summer League, there was a lot of players from the Sudan there, like youth basketball players, tall, athletic guys, right? Some of them were raw from what you hear, but at the same time, they're 16, 17. Like, yo, it is what it is. But so that was the huge disrespect from the gate.
Mm-hmm.
And then the game is played. And you see guys like Paul Pierce apologizing, other people apologizing. And then Gilbert goes on his podcast and he's just saying stuff and he's like air up here and then he's like he's doing like that, like like it was just it was bad. It was really bad, man. It was really bad. Like, I mean, it was kind of racist, like for him to say what he did, and he was making light out of it.
Yeah,
and so I just felt like it wasn't a place, especially nowadays. Like when we talk about basketball, it's an international sport. I mean, you look at Joel Embiid. I mean, first was not a place. Like this guy was an MVP.
Yeah.
Like when was the last time that we had an American MVP? I mean,
Well,
I mean, do you know? Do you know? I think it was Harden, right? Or was it Westbrook?
Yeah. Woo.
It was Harden. Guess what I'm saying?
You guys at the end of their careers.
I mean, so like that's the last time. Like, and then when we look at all NBA, it's like, thank God for Jason Tatum if you're American. If you don't like internationals, you better be a Jason Tatum fan because he's the only one that makes it first. So I don't know. I didn't feel like I didn't like what I heard. I felt like, I mean, I just didn't like what I heard. I mean, I felt like it was ignorant. But guess what? He don't care. Like, he don't care what I got to say. You know what I mean? So it is what it is.
Well, I didn't see, like, I'm reading his quotes now, and he said, we got the males almost lost to some Africans. Okay, they almost did lose to some Africans. And I guess he drew Joel in, and he said, man, Embiid over there throwing games for his cousins an expletive. We wasn't supposed to be losing to the air up there. Come on, man. Cool Runnings. We're not supposed to be losing to the Cool Runnings team. Now, if I were just to read that, I mean, maybe he did some.
You had to see it because he was acting like he had, like, you know how the blow stick, and he's like, blowing darts and all that type of stuff. Yeah, like, if you just read it, you read it, it's it's still bad in my way because it's kind of derogatory. Like, so here's the thing, man. Let's be real. If he would have said that about some Jewish people, if he would have said that about some Irish people, some anybody else, or if he was white and he said that about some black people, he would have been canceled.
Yeah, he would have.
He would have been canceled, dude. Like, let's be 100, man. Yeah. So it's kind of like, so I get it, like, but I don't get it. Like, everything is for fun, but at the same time, you got to be careful on how you say stuff.
Yeah, but let me offer this, Keith.
Mm-hmm.
Let's look at our political tone ever since Kamala Harris became the front runner for the presidential nominee, and let's look at what some of our lawmakers have said about her that we know are equally as racist or more. It's just cloaked in that language they like to use. Rep. Tim Burkett, a Republican from Tennessee, called Harris a DEI vice president on social media. And he was referring to the workplace policies to promote diversity, equity, and inclusion that conservatives have maligned. When you go down the route, and I'm quoting him, you take mediocrity, and that's what they have right now. Then you have this nut, some clown who worked in the Trump administration by the name of Sebastian Gorka. He's a host on the conservative network Newsmax, who served in the Trump administration. He said, Harris is going to be the nominee. These are his quotes. These are this white man's quotes, because she's female and her skin color, ding, 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 and is the correct DEI color. And this is what he said. You have Richard Grinnell, the U.S. ambassador to Germany in the Trump administration, told NBC News that Harris was part of, quote, a revolving door of DEI appointments. Again, they're supplementing DEI for a word they would like to use. From straight white, and he said he's a revolving door of DEI appointments from the straight white male governor who hands out appointments to keep different groups happy and at bay. And he was referring to California Governor Gavin Newsom. Kamala Harris is the product of this whole system. She is very far left, unvetted, and untested. And last but not least, there's this woman, Kellyanne Conway, who failed miserably in the Trump administration, who never comes on TV with her hair done. And this woman said about Kamala Harris, she does not speak well. She does not work hard. She should not be the standard bearer for the party. What you're saying, Ms. Conway, is you just don't like black people. And you see black people, you see black American citizens as lesser than you. So with that being said, when these people are complaining about what Gilbert Arenas said, I kind of look at what's going on in our country. And I'm like, don't talk. You're talking about some basketball players. Gilbert, we know Gilbert was kind of having fun. Now, he may have gone over the top with some of the machinations of the whatever he did. Again, I didn't say it. But right here in these United States, we've got people at much higher levels saying crazier things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but here's the difference, man. Here's the difference. So that's like, well, first of all, like, I don't really like talking about politics.
I'm not going to do me either.
Because I don't. But
let's be. I want to be honest.
But the thing is, here's the deal. The thing is, when you have I mean, you knew some stuff was going to come out. Like the
Mm-hmm.
moment when they said she was going to run for the election, they said, oh, they were going to come and they were going to rally, and you knew what was going to happen. It's
Right.
kind of like, let's discredit her. Let's just make it seem like, I mean, dude, let's keep it 100, man. Like, when I first got the job at the Enquirer, people were looking at me like, oh, that's the black high school sports writer. That's the
Yeah.
brother that's going in the hood. That's
Uh-huh.
the brother this. But at the same time, I was covering soccer and field hockey, right? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So
Right.
it's kind of like, but at the same time, that's what
And
they
I
said.
covered, and hey, and I
Right?
covered. It was kind of a trend to be a black writer at the Enquirer, a black male. You covered field hockey.
Well, I mean, but what I'm saying is that's not the stereotype is you supposed to go down North Philly, you supposed to do
Right.
this, you supposed to do that. So what do? They get her and they got to try to attack her. They got to try to discredit her. And then
Yeah.
the other thing they do this and that. So you knew that was coming, right?
Right.
My difference is with Gilbert is I think that Gilbert should know better, right? I do. Like the
I
thing
covered
about
Gilbert. I
well,
covered
see, you
Gilbert.
covered him, but see, his last name is Arenas. I was on again. I told you I was up late last night.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on TikTok. I see where he's talking, and he's talking about he's Cuban, or the people in his family Cuban.
Yeah.
Now, all
Yeah.
right. So I'm like, hold up, bro. Like, if we're talking about people who have been, not only are you black, you're a black Cuban.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now you saying you don't know the people and all this and that, whatever. I get it. But my thing is like, you come from a group that's been kind of like
Marginalized.
looked down, yeah, marginalized, right?
Mm-hmm.
So not only that, so it's kind of like Mitch, it's like me and you develop a platform,
Mm-hmm.
but okay, it's cool for you to make fun of the Haitians,
Yeah.
right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, all right, like I'm gonna make fun of the Haitians. I'm
Yeah.
gonna do this or I'm gonna do that. I just feel like that it comes a point where whenever we have forget people. Okay, so you may have people that say stuff about race,
Mm-hmm.
and they could be racist,
Mm-hmm.
right? But why do we want to get them ammunition to have black on black crime? Basically.
Yeah.
Now, again, I get the difference. The people in
Right.
Africa, some people from Africa say like, I ain't black. I ain't black.
Yeah.
They don't get. Some people from Africa don't get
But you
down
know,
with black,
Gil doesn't know that.
right?
That's
But
what.
but 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 see, the thing is, if you don't know that, don't put yourself in that situation. You know what I mean? Because see,
Right.
everybody knows, like, yeah, you said this stuff about these people, these the Republican people saying that, but come on, man. Everybody knew, you knew, I knew, your mom knew, and this ain't no mom stuff. I'm just saying your mom, your brother, your cousins,
Mm-hmm.
everybody who was educated who knew that, okay, they're going to try to tear her down, even though she's a well-educated thing. The
Right.
only thing they ain't killing her on is that she went to a HBCU because
Right.
they want to kill her on that, but they know they can't because if you do that, then it's really obvious. So all I'm saying is, it's like brothers, like he gotta be better than that. And the
Yeah.
thing about it is, because let's keep it 100. If it was somebody white saying it, they
Mm-hmm.
would be crucified. If it was
Yeah.
somebody black saying it about a Jewish person or whatever, they would have been crucified, right? They would have been canceled. And so, like, I get it.
But look, but check
Two
it out,
wrongs
Keith.
to make it right, huh?
They don't, but look how they're going at a person who could be the next president of the United States. So they're really setting the racial tone. You know what I mean?
Of
So for you,
course they are, because guess what? Unfortunately, and I get it, I do. Believe me, bro. Everything you saying, I agree with you.
Mhm.
But why are they doing that? Because they don't want you to vote for her. They
Yeah,
trying to do whatever they can to discredit. They can't say, look at the policies she's done wrong. Look at this, look at that. Now, the real rap is if they look at her history and look at how it was, like when she was working with the DA and all that stuff,
attorney,
race didn't
attorney
factor into
general.
her decisions.
Mhm.
She did what she was. it got to a point where she got criticized for the people that they saying she working for and what she doing. She can't speak. She can't do this. She can't do that. They saying all that other stuff. Like, bruh, let's keep it 100. Like, if you did if she felt like if you did the crime, you were doing the time. But they can't bring that up because it goes against their policy, right?
Because then she looks like she is enforced. She is tough on crime, and that's not how they want to paint her.
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, so
that's their conundrum.
Yeah, so that's what it is. But I honestly believe, like, just getting back to
Gilbert.
Yeah, like and like the one thing you said, like, you know him, I don't know.
Yeah, like, he's smart like a fox. You know, Gilbert's a marketer, man, and you look how well that podcast is doing. You know, he knows.
The first time he said that, one time he was killing European players, saying how they can't play. You know, they don't play D, they don't do this, they don't do that. Right. But it's like getting to a point, bro. Like, name the last American MVP. Name the last American first team All NBA outside of Jason Tatum.
I know his comments have been couched as, and again, I didn't see the video. I know his comments have been couched as xenophobic. So I guess I have to take the word of it, and you saw it, so I'll take your word.
It was bad, dude. It was bad.
Okay.
It was embarrassing bad. Like, it was bad. I mean, like, again, like, it was bad. It was, you know, I didn't like seeing it, me personally. Right. Like, you know, I didn't like seeing it at all. I didn't. I mean, I felt like he was above that. Like, you know what I mean? I didn't like it. I mean, because my thing is, like, when you look at, the stereotype is weird, man. Like, the one thing I'm going to say about, like, okay, look at Joel Embiid. Look at, you know, I'm like, look at Charles Bassey. These are two guys. Joel's from Cameroon. Bassey is from Nigeria. You know, I'm talking about, these are two of the brightest people that I ever come in contact with. Brightest. And when you talk and I remember there used to be a guy who owned a parking garage down in Center City. And when the Inquirer, building, well, the Inquirer building's still down there, but when I used to go into the office, I paid for parking, and he owned the thing. Right. Now, the crazy part about it is, a lot of people looked at this man like, look at this African dude, he works here. They call him that. They was looking at him that way. Man, when I sat down and talked to this dude, he was telling me about his children and all the stuff he was doing, and how, like, when his kids moved over here, it was like they got skipped because they were way advanced than America. Like, these are the things. And then we talk about how, you got Africa's like let's talk about civilization. Like, Africa was the first person that they documented that was born was in Africa. They had Black Chinese people. They had Black people all over. So they went different places, right? So it gets me a little upset when we talk about how the Moors, about the Moors. You talk about how the Moors were, like, educating people in Europe. They were doing all this other stuff. And now you got a brother doing darts.
Yeah.
Like, yo,
I didn't see that.
Like, it's kind of like, yo, it's real ignorant, man. It's just
ignorant. It is. Now that's ignorant.
So it's ignorant. Now it's different when I get what you're saying. These people are trying to discredit an educated woman, a woman who, they saying diversity, all this other stuff.
Like, she's achieved way more than any of them.
Exactly. But
she's Black, so we're going to attack her.
I look at it like that's the only thing they have to go after.
Right.
Forget about the facts. But I look at the person, whereas me and you could read. Me and you could watch TV. Me and you could do whatever. Hell, dude, she went to your university, your alma mater.
Yeah,
Y'all
yeah,
both went to Howard. So
yeah.
you know more about her than most, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my thing is, it's like, we know why they're doing that, for fear,
Right.
fear in people. But what he did was ignorant. To me, that's the difference.
I'm gonna have to watch it because I didn't
Yeah,
see.
you gotta watch
Yeah,
it,
I gotta
dude.
watch it.
They turned
Because
that into a highlight.
even when Embiid commented, you could tell he had, and he actually admitted that he hadn't seen it.
I mean, look at Embiid. Embiid always got like a thorough haircut,
Yeah.
all this and that. He down like fashion. You look at Charles. I'm telling you, man, Charles Bassey is brilliant, smart.
Really?
A couple of them. Now, yeah, it's like this. And again, it's like, to me, I just felt like it's a
Like you
time
had
and
to go
place.
there.
It ain't cool to say that, bro. Like,
Yeah.
it's not. Like, and if you look at, he talking about the Africans. So what about the French national team? They
Yeah.
all Africans. Like, if you
That's
want to
true.
be real, it's like they pops was Africans who moved to France, and they now they got, they became married, a French lady and whatever.
And it's interesting because the NBA is investing. It seems to be that they're investing harder in the future of the NBA coming out of Africa. With all this NBA Africa, they are invested, so they see what's coming.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, of course they do. So,
but
to
I
me,
have to defend Gilbert though, like the whole the whole.
I don't know, man. I just want to say this before you defend Gilbert. Watch the video before you defend him. Seriously,
I'm gonna keep it out.
Yeah, because I don't want you.
I don't want to hear any more. I don't want to hear any more
before
coming from you.
Before you defend Gilbert, watch the video. Seriously.
Okay, but I don't want to hear any more of these mediocre politicians in the GOP attacking Kamala Harris, saying DEI when we know what they really want to call her.
Yeah, but
they can't. They can't.
Yeah,
that's the
two wrongs don't make it right, though. That's all I'm saying.
I hear you.
And it's also like, you also know what they're doing. He had no, like, what they're doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what people are doing. Him, all he had to say is, they almost lost to South Sudan. Who heard of South Sudan? Like, if he would have said, they said, we don't have any.
Check this out, Keith. Would we be talking about him if that's all he said?
Yeah, but it comes a point in time when you making a lot of money and you got a successful show that you don't got to keep.
You don't have to do that.
You keep putting people down, man. You just don't have to. You don't have to say disparaging things to people, like that just to get clicks. This ain't the first time now.
Yeah.
This ain't the first time. And believe me, I just feel like, I don't know, dude. I mean, it's like us talking. I don't know. I just don't. I just don't get down. Maybe I'm different, and I didn't think it was funny. I did.
I'm gonna keep it out
because people got canceled. I mean, people got canceled. Like, think about it. Think about what other people said about other different groups.
Mm-hmm.
They got canceled. Now, luckily, Kyrie could play basketball, right? So he came back, right? But it's kind of like, but when we say stuff about our own, sometimes people just laugh it off, like, and
it's a good point. One thing, but he won't get canceled unless the public decides to cancel him. But the one thing, I think that's his property. So he did. If you look at it, he did the smart thing. He made all that money, and now he's found another vehicle to make money with.
Yeah,
he's pushing the envelope.
Okay, here's the thing. We got to hurry and get off here. We've been on this too long, but it's kind of like he ain't getting canceled because it's kind of like, all right, I'm gonna just get personal.
Mm-hmm.
My nephew was murdered in the back of my mom's house.
Mm.
They ain't find the murderer, but if it would have,
it never do
happened. But why? Because it's like, shit, it's just another one killing another one at times, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's just how it is, man.
Yeah.
So what happens is he ain't get canceled, and he ain't going to get canceled because guess what? He made fun of an African. Mm-hmm. So the African people are going to be upset. They're going to have to deal with it. People saying, damn, he ignorant, he this and that, but ain't nothing gonna happen from it. But
Right.
like at the same time though, when those people was down South Street and they was shooting up South Street, they caught the brother in Florida somewhere, right? Or whatever, right? They got them. So I'm just saying, like, it's one of those things is he ain't gonna get canceled because he's talking about his own or
Yeah,
people
that's
similar
true.
to him.
That's true.
So, and that's where, but let him do that. Someone else, he gonna get canceled. If my cousin would have been, if my nephew would have been murdered, um, in a different neighborhood, or if you know what I mean, if
Mm-hmm.
someone else, believe me, they would have found out who did it. They would
Yeah,
have found
that's
out who
yeah,
did it.
yeah.
But you know what they look at is like, yo, hey, that's an isolated situation. It was hot this summer. People in Philly, you know how they doing in Philly.
Mm-hmm.
Them young boys. They just killing each other. Like, hey, but then they look at it and like, oh, maybe he had a record. He did this. He did that. Could have been gang violence. Oh, we staying away. We staying away.
Yeah.
But look, if you go down South Street and get shot, or if you go down Center City or anywhere else, or if you go out in Bucks County or Montgomery County or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
it's a different story, man.
Yeah.
It's a different story. So that's it. But look, y'all, we
Now
want
we
to
didn't get a chance to talk about Reggie.
yeah, we had to talk about
Yeah.
Reggie on the back end tomorrow. But I'm sorry. But look, y'all, Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. And now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On Plus, our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today, now available on the free Fire TV channels app. So, Mitch, I got what you're saying, and believe me, I'm not arguing with you.
I
I
know.
understand what you're saying, but what I'm saying is, it comes to a point where you gotta know that that's what people are doing. They're trying to attack. They're trying to put fear, this and that. I just didn't feel like,
Yeah.
you know, I didn't feel like it's
I just hold politicians to a higher standard with their rhetoric. But I'm probably wrong. I'm probably being ignorant for that.
Yeah, bro. yeah. I mean, dude, have you seen? Come on, man. Like,
Yeah.
come on, recent history.
Yeah.
Come on, bro. Come on, man. Come on, like, yo, it's crazy. I mean, it's crazy.
You just don't want to see the qualifications of black people turned into a volleyball or a pool ball. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, but over the last
More
couple years,
we're 60 years past the civil rights movement, man.
the last couple of years, the way things have been,
Mm-hmm.
to me, this is like par for the course, bro. Unfortunately,
No, unfortunately,
unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
All right, y'all. We'll talk to y'all tomorrow. We'll get back to basketball.
Get back to Reggie Jackson.
Back to Reggie Jackson. Peace.
Peace, y'all.